Immediately east of Panama City Beach, Florida, and due south of Panama City proper, Shell Island is a pristine 7-mile-long so-called barrier island. I say so-called barrier island because technically Shell Island is not an island at all. It's a peninsula. But unless you're part of the badass Patriot team at Tyndall Air Force Base, you're unlikely to reach Shell Island by land. No, to get to Shell Island, you need a boat. Or at least a friend with a boat, which frankly is the best kind of friend you can find around these parts. Despite her significant barriers to entry, Shell Island has witnessed a steady flow of inhabitants and visitors alike through the decades, including Native American settlers, foreign explorers, pirates, marine biologists, beach-loving tourists, and of course, shell collectors. It probably goes without saying that Shell Island's name comes from the embarrassing abundance of seashells that you'll find washed up here. These sands aren't so easily scoured by all the daybreak walk warriors, so there's usually enough seashells to be found here no matter how late you decide to sleep in. Stephanie Somerset has been escaping to Shell Island for nearly 3 decades.
I grew up on the Florida Panhandle and I've lived here almost all my life. When we discovered Shell Island, it was the place to be. All along the 7 miles, it's calm, deep anchoring water for boats. So it's really a boater's paradise. We got to where we would bring a volleyball net and have a volleyball game all day long, and other people would walk down the beach and come join our game. The locals will all tell you it's our happy place.
To help make sure Shell Island will forever remain a happy place, Stephanie founded Friends of Shell Island, a nonprofit group that works to protect the public's access to this prized habitat, to conserve its resources, and to educate the public about its beauty and her indigenous residents. Originally called Land's End Peninsula, Shell Island was actually created, so to speak, in the 1930s when a brand new pass was dredged here, one that connected St. Andrew Bay with the Gulf of Mexico. There was once an island in this channel dubbed Hurricane Island. A man lived there in what is referred to as a pilot house. His job was to help safely direct ships into the harbor. Ironically, a hurricane destroyed the pilot house and washed away the island. East of here, there was once another pass out into the Gulf of Mexico, now referred to as Old Pass. Located between Shell Island and what is now Tyndall Air Force Base, Old Pass was ever moving and ever shifting and was eventually sealed off. While the new pass helped Panama City's burgeoning economy boom, the ecological impacts to the east side of the channel were detrimental.
The Bay County Commission is working on a project that will do a study so that they can figure out how to open it back up.
As recently as the year 2000, they temporarily reopened the Old Pass.
As soon as they got it open, the water clarity in St. Andrew Bay was greatly improved. So we all know that opening East Pass will be like the single #1 best thing they can do for the natural resources in and around Shell Island.
Some might be surprised to learn that there was once a club on Shell Island. Locals and visitors could catch a ferry out to the club, which had a full bar and bartender, assorted beach activities, and in case you had somehow forgotten that you were going to the beach in the first place, you could even rent a bathing suit. No thank you, I'll just sit at the bar. With its beach boardwalks and world-class campground, most people think of St. Andrews State Park as being on the west side of the pass. But today, Shell Island's blissfully unspoiled shores also fall under the park's dazzling domain. If you own your own boat, well then you're all set to explore Shell Island. But if you don't own a boat, don't worry. You can hire a local charter captain to explore all the secret spots, or even hop aboard the official Shell Island shuttle, which runs back and forth from the nearby harbor. Don't forget to pack sunscreen, snacks, and plenty of water. You can even rent snorkeling gear for the day. No bathing suit rentals as far as I know. In addition to seashell seeking by the seashore, the snorkeling here is excellent, especially along the inside wall of Shell Island's massive stone jetties. You'll likely encounter tropical fish, an assortment of crabs, rays, and if you're lucky, maybe even a sea turtle or some of our resident bottlenose dolphins. In fact, St. Andrew Bay is home to one of the world's largest resident populations of bottlenose dolphins, the iconic gray dolphins. The dolphins of St. Andrew Bay are wild animals, although by this point, they're pretty accustomed to the presence of people. So it is very common for boaters here to find themselves enjoying a private, and often rather acrobatic, dolphin show. My friend Darren and I once saw dolphins here playing catch with jellyfish, tossing them back and forth on their noses like hacky sacks. I forgot to hit record, so you're just gonna have to trust me on that one. After you're done snorkeling the Gulf side of the jetties, cross the hot sand to the north side of Shell Island and you'll find excellent snorkeling on the bay side as well. Here you'll see starfish, scallops, more crabs, and all sorts of strange and magical critters in the bay's shallow grass flats.
Shell Island matters so much to people. I read about it in their obituaries, about what a special place it was for that person. And I've seen a lot of places by boat, and it's hard to beat this place.
When you're finally ready to dry out, hike east along Shell Island to leave any crowds well behind. Shell Island is a protected national wildlife refuge full of local wildlife including loggerhead turtles, green sea turtles, ghost crabs, beach mice, 9-banded armadillos, marsh rabbits, raccoons, and even a few alligators for good Florida measure. Look up and you might also see osprey, bald eagles, herons, pelicans, and of course, the ever-present seagulls. Seabirds nest in these dunes, and sea turtles also deposit their eggs above the waterline here from May to October, so please, please, please don't disturb these habitats.
The organization has affected rules, regulations, laws, mission statements. We're on advisory boards, and we really feel like we've had a big impact in keeping the future of Shell Island going in the right direction for everybody.
While the western half of Shell Island is under the management of St. Andrews State Park, Tyndall Air Force Base still owns the eastern half, as well as nearby Crooked Island. Over the decades, Tyndall has generously allowed boaters to beach for a bit on their way up and down the coast. But make sure you strictly heed any military signage, or you might just encounter one of Tyndall's freaky robot sentry dogs. No, I'm not kidding. In the middle of Shell Island, you'll find where locals love to anchor. It's called the Spanish Anti-Subdivision, and it actually consists of about 30 subdivided lots from an era when there were plans afoot to develop this stunning habitat. There's only one house here today, and there's no running water or electricity. But who could possibly care? Fortunately, most of the vacant lots are now owned by Florida's state park system and by the Friends of Shell Island. The moral of this story? It's nice to have friends. Even better if they have a boat.